are a senior professional with more than 15 years of experience and you feel like you have so much in you that you wish you could offer, so much more, but you have concerns in terms of where do you even begin? And is this the right time now for me to make a change? I really encourage you to listen to this podcast episode that I just filmed. It is with one of my clients who navigated an incredible career transformation. When people ask me, like, how do you help people? How can people be successful when they're navigating career transitions? There are just so many aspects of it. It's almost like asking a surgeon, how do you perform the surgery? And so what I ended up doing, rather than me trying to put words to what I do, I brought in my client, Rashid, who was an entrepreneur. He's never worked for anyone before in his life. He's only worked for himself. He built companies for 10 years. He shut one down. He moved countries. He started over, and then he landed at Amazon. And I worked with him over a 1-year journey because that is how complex his career transition was. We were just navigating too many things. Visa, complexity, changing countries, language barrier, so much. And his goal was not like, I just want a lily pad. His goal was, I want to go big. And so we ended up working together for that long to make it happen. So in this episode, I really think you are going to relate to some of the fears that he was going through, some of the hesitation, some of the self-doubt, some of the, is this even possible for me? And it honestly doesn't matter what industry that you are in or what industry you are moving to, or whether you are a director or a VP or a senior individual contributor. You are going to see yourself in him and you are going to learn a lot. So I encourage you to listen to this till the end. And if you see yourself in Rashid and you recognize that you need someone to help you with this, an expert, I encourage you to reach out to me and send me a DM. You can book a career diagnosis call through my profile, but I encourage you to send me a personalized message and let me know that you watched this episode. Okay? You get special treatment for that just because of the context that you have. I hope you enjoy this. If you like the episode, or if you realize that someone could benefit from this, then please comment, because that's going to help someone out there who needs to really feel inspired and not give up on themselves. All right, I hope you enjoy this. Rashid, I brought you here because you have an amazing story. First of all, you're the client that I worked with the longest, just for the record. And you've seen my business from almost the beginning of time till today, which has been 6 years. I can't believe it's been 6 years. That's insane.
Yeah, time flew by.
And before, we recorded, you were telling me it's kind of weird that we're talking virtually because it reminds you of the old times. And after you landed in Canada, we've been meeting in person, right? So it's kind of weird to actually go full circle. But for anyone who's listening, Rashid started with me in January 2021.
Yeah.
And he was one of my very first clients. I started my business April 2020, and then you joined in January 2021. We worked together literally for almost a year, up until, I will say, January 2022, where you landed at Amazon. Now, I want to share your story to anyone out there who feels like they have to sacrifice too much to actually grow their career. And people who actually feel like they've given up on the idea of wanting more for themselves because of how the market is, because of how the economy is, Rashid, because I know that it wasn't like a smooth sailing journey for you, but you had a lot of incredible grit. I think I can only count maybe a handful of people who that I've worked with who've been through what you have gone through and just didn't simply give up. And it's not like the career that you had before was bad. You had a good career as an entrepreneur, but you just wanted more. And I genuinely respect that because sometimes people only want to make a change when things are very bad. So I'm going to go back to the story of when you first reached out to me. What were you going through during that time? Like maybe give people, especially if there are entrepreneurs out there, right? Maybe give people a little bit of a history in terms of why you decided to make that change to basically go from entrepreneurship to considering working for an organization.
Thanks for thinking of me. I'm happy to share. Just full disclaimer, I don't think that I have solved this at all. I think that it's still an ongoing journey, but if I can help anyone to not make the same mistakes I did, I'm happy to share. So just going back, why did I ever reach out to you? I don't know. Like there was a lot going on. Just a bit of background. I come from an engineering and entrepreneurial background, so I started my first company with my friends out of college, and
Wow.
we 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 just started playing to be business people. Right? It was a game, I must say, and
It
we
was
had
a
a great
game.
time. And basically, we were just there losing money, paying to work. you know, we were paying to work rather than otherwise. We were working in the automotive industry, building production lines and machines and all that. And it was a great journey. I learned a lot, but at some point, I just stopped enjoying that industry. I wanted something more creative, and the company was going well, but I decided to start a new venture attached to the company, like a spin-off, something that would focus more on disruptive innovation back then, which was something new. And I got myself into a lot of trouble. So I still had the support of my co-founders, but at some point I was taking something completely new. So before we started this podcast, we were talking about how much it sucks to start something alone. But luckily, I got new co-founders for that venture, and our founding family started growing. Anyway, so we did a lot of stuff, and I was working in this multiple businesses for
Wow.
they were my businesses. I don't know if that was the right way to do it. I was working in a venture builder model. Anyway, so 6 or 7 years after, we decided to shut it down after like things were not going. I think we at some point missed the train for something, and we were just not moving forward, and we had to make really tough decisions. So we shut down the branch, and we just left the original branch working. So that was a hard hit for everyone, but for me it was like feeling like what I had been working for my whole career just in the end didn't pay off. Like,
Wow.
it's, should I have gone into a company from the beginning? Like I could see my friends after some years, like, getting races, getting houses, getting cars, like, and I was back to square one. So it was really hard to shut the company. And then I started like, I dust myself up and started doing software consultancy. I just said, okay, so, this part failed. So let's start something that will not have that much complexity. And I started doing software development, and then it took off faster, and it was good. It was comfortable. It was manageable. It was a good way for me to feel, moving again. And that was sometime before pandemic and during pandemic. And at some point, I got comfortable. I was like, okay, this is working. What's next? I'm bored.
Says every high achiever.
So I was like, okay, I wasn't, there were a lot of things. Not everything was my fault. So I got some time to figure that out. I was okay, yeah, now I understand what things didn't work and what things worked, and I'm comfortable and I'm ready to take, something new again.
I think you posted something on the LinkedIn career group, I remember.
I think so. I don't
Yeah,
even know what I was
you were
asking.
like asking for advice. You're like, "Oh, I'm trying to get into this field,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not getting, responses." I remember from recruiters, something along those lines. Or you were maybe getting responses, but the interviews, weren't converting. And then I jumped in and I remember I was just like so blunt and direct with you.
As you are always. And yes, I remember I was asking about, how to get a job in a company,
Yeah.
because I at some point I it was pandemic. There was a lot of self-reflection time.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
I said, okay, so I've experienced entrepreneurship for like 10 years. So what's the other side like?
Mm,
Maybe I can just lean on an organization that it's already structured, or a team that already has experience, and I can learn from them. Maybe I can multiply my reach. I don't know, what's there on the other side. So that's when I decided, okay, I want to join a company and learn how things are done at a different scale. And I didn't know where to start. Like, I had only worked for myself for the past 10 plus years, and I didn't
yeah.
know, if I was good at something, what I was good at. I just got things done. And a lot of people that I have met with, they don't even know how they do the things that they need to do. You just do it because you need to, because you need to pay your partners and your employees and keep your company afloat. And if there's anything left, you also pay for your bills. But you just get things done. But you
Yeah.
have no one to validate you. Like, you don't have a manager who will tell you you did a great job. You Even your investors, like, they won't guide you. They will just focus on other stuff with you. But you won't have validation from anyone, like you're doing this the right way.
Except for your clients, right?
Yes, well, your clients are happy, but like, that's solving problems for your clients is not the same as growing your career. So you don't know if you're moving your career in the right way, or you're just helping people, getting things done, and you never wonder about where you're going as a professional. So I think that's the reason why I started asking for on LinkedIn. And at some point you answered, and I started following you. And the rest, well, here we are.
Yeah, that's a great story. There's so many things that you mentioned that I think are going to resonate with people, and I just want to emphasize some of these things. So you were navigating a pivot, really. That's how we can call it. But it sounds to me like this wasn't your first pivot. You just shared with me that you were in the automotive industry for more than 7 years. I think you have like a mechanical engineering background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
right.
you weren't even in software at that point.
It was mechatronics. I had a bit of everything, but in the end, like,
Yeah, it wasn't like it was more on the hardware side, but it was a little bit of a both, right?
yeah,
Okay. And then you pivoted into software, and you went from being a co-founder to, were you still a co-founder or more of a consultant at that point?
So I started as a freelancer, and then
Yeah, so more
things
like
started.
consultant.
Yeah, and then I got a partner, so we you know
Mm,
we in a way were co-founders. Like we grew the business
later on.
together
Yeah.
from. Yeah. So again, like I was saying, it would be so hard to make it all by myself, but I always have found people to take endeavors, and I'm grateful for that.
But
And
you went through, like, even before considering this pivot of going and working for an organization, you had already gone through multiple pivots. And that's key to note that you had already this almost like um, ability to be okay with making a change when things weren't working.
yes, definitely. I think I learned that probably I could have learned that earlier in
Mm,
during entrepreneurship. But yes, in the end, like I I learned that sometimes you need to you pivot, like don't hold to just your idea when it's not working or when it's not going down the right path. Like you need to
yeah.
make adjustments. It's hard to figure out which adjustments to
Mhm.
make, but you gotta be comfortable with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you finally realize that, you know what, I need to make a change in my career because it's not growing the way I want it to be if I keep going in this path. I think what you were describing when you said that it was really hard to kind of figure out what role I was playing and translate it to an organization because as an entrepreneur, you were wearing multiple hats. You focused on just getting, the job done. You weren't necessarily looking for validation or looking for a label. And I also call it, which by the way is something that any leader relates to, doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or not. When you're really good at something and you are a jack of all trades, it's called unconscious competence. You have so much competence, you're so good at what you do, it's unconscious. You don't even think about it. You just do the things. So I really feel that that's what you were going through. So, okay. So you're in this basically spot where you want to make a change. I I remember your post, and I think what I ended up saying to you, the reason that you're not getting those responses from recruiters or not converting those interviews is because you're literally positioning yourself as multiple things. Like there's a developer persona, there's a product persona. Like, what exactly are you? And I
That is
remember
true. That is
that's what
true.
I said.
That is true. Now it came back to me because I couldn't remember what the post was about. But yes, you're right. Because I don't know. I just knew that I wanted to join a team, right? And I didn't know where I would fit.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like before, so I did multiple pivots, but I don't know why I would pivot when things were going well. Like, the initial company, it's still going. Uh, my friends, co-founders are still there, and it has grown a lot. But I just
Yeah.
left it when it was, going too well because I got bored. So then I moved, and then moved again. And when I wanted to join a company, is because my consultancy was going good. Like I was comfortable, I was happy, I was making good money, but I
Yeah.
felt like I stopped growing. Like, so I was
Hmm.
like, okay, so what's next? So that being said, um probably I lost my train of thought here.
So it sounds like to me you were trying to figure out the answer of
Yeah.
what's next for me, right? So what did you try doing to figure it out?
So I enjoyed a lot. I still enjoy coding. um so I tried first joining as a software engineer, like for companies. And when I started doing those assessments and you know going through the interviews, I just started thinking, would I enjoy doing this every day? And the answer was no. Like I enjoy coding, but I want something that is also customer facing and coordination and looking at different perspectives. And I even got a really good interview at a really good company from a friend. They recommended me, and I had an interview with the chief product officer or the CTO, and they said, "Okay, so what are you good at?" That was the hardest question that I have ever asked. Like, I'm good at everything, but I'm like, I can do anything. Like, what do you need me to do? Almost like, I don't know. Like, so I was like so frustrated. I didn't know how to continue. And when you replied to my post and you said these things, like they made sense to me. So I started, I remember I watched a YouTube video that you had with a product manager, and they talked a lot about things that I was going through. And I had never heard that word, like product manager. Okay, what's that? And then I started digging. I said, okay, this is like entrepreneurship somehow. So maybe, I could give it a try. And I still tried by myself. Um, and I started talking to my partner back then. Then the idea of moving to a different country, it was pandemic. My partner and I had that conversation, said, wow, what if we move countries? Would we enjoy that? And when we decided, okay, let's go for it, I said, okay, so I need now, like, I've been playing around, I've been dipping my toe in the water. Now I need to commit to myself. And then I reached out to you and I said, you know, let's, I want to work with you.
You
How do I
already
get
knew. I was
started?
like, what the heck? I remember in the middle of the consultation call, you're like, it's okay, it's okay. You don't need to go through the rest of this. I already know that I want to work with you.
Yeah. And yes, that because I understood that I needed to have commitment. Like I was trying. I don't know if maybe I would succeed, maybe not. Like maybe it would take another 3 years. I don't know. But since I had made the decision to go for it, I needed to commit
Yeah.
and to sign up with you to keep me accountable.
Mm,
That would be the commitment that I needed, and make time for it and do whatever it takes to actually make it work. So
yeah.
for everyone listening, I think that having someone to make you accountable is one of the best things that you need when you need to switch to an unknown path. Unknown path.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. And I think how we were just joking about it before the call because I was telling you that I hired a trainer. I'm starting on Monday with them. And it's not like I don't know how to exercise. It's not like I can't just look this up on GPT, right? Although arguably, by the way, like even when you go on Chat GPT, because you're sort of like driving the whole thing and influencing it, it might actually give you the wrong advice for where you are right now, right? But to me, it truly is like energetically, whenever I decide to make any change in my life, I almost feel like there needs to be an energetic shift, not just like a knowledge shift, like truly an energetic shift to actually follow through. And just like even how to make it convenient for you to follow through in these behaviors. Like you were telling me that you were showing me a moment ago your piano that you just got, and you were saying that you had a keyboard from a friend who happened to also be in my program, and you weren't really, using it, but you had to get that piano so that it's there and set up so that you end up using it. And so it becomes, more convenient for you. And it's like when you hire a coach, it's almost like it creates that convenience and setup so that you can build it into your life. And the coach, works with you to integrate those habits, not just teach you the knowledge, not just tell you, oh, here are the frameworks to make a decision on whether you're a product manager or not. Here's the checklist. These are the characteristics of a product manager. Read them. And if you, see yourself there, you know the answer. Yeah, you can get all that information from GPT. But I think, you made a wise decision, just like I made a wise decision signing up with this trainer. to have someone that can be there with you throughout the journey. I'm curious, when you say accountability, like what does that mean to you? When people hear accountability, they think babysitting. Like they think they're hiring someone to like babysit them. To you, what was it for you? What does accountability mean?
So, like, I would, if I was working on my own, I could take different priorities. I would always give priority to my job and to my customers, and then to my other activities. Like if I could work longer hours to make a deliverable more beautiful, I would just spend 2 more days just because I can, because I care, and just because I like it.
Yeah.
So I would deprioritize searching for a new job, like preparing for interviews, connecting to people. It's like, oh, I don't like to talk to strangers, so maybe I'll just beautify this application, and if there's time, I'll connect with someone maybe next. But now that I had you, it was like, next time you bring me the list of 5 people that you connected with during your week. I was like, okay, like I barely connect with one in a month. Now, next time just 5. So that's it. Like, okay, so now you show me your numbers. You know, how many applications have you had? So you were always there in the back of my head. Whenever I wanted to procrastinate and pick another important job, important task, but just like push this one, you were there. Like I knew that I would have to give you an explanation if I didn't have the stuff. And it's not just that, like also helping me figure out how to better invest my time. Like,
Hmm.
don't over index on your resume. Like it's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's working now. Like just move to the next part. It's otherwise I would over index in making it perfect. And that's something that we all tend to do. So when you have someone who tells you that's enough because the next task is going to be even harder, so you better close that and focus on what's coming. That's the whole package with when signing up with someone that will keep you accountable and guide you to be more efficient.
Yeah, it's like system thinking, right? Just like how we build products. Like we have to, sometimes we have a tendency to break something that's working.
Yeah, and we tend to do that for others, and we tend to skip that for ourselves. So I think that's an important part of not working alone.
Cool. I'm not that scary though, right?
You're not.
Okay. So, um, maybe what we can talk about is your experience of being part of a community, because you were actually one of the biggest inspirations of why I transitioned my program from being fully one-on-one to community-based program. Because I realized that when it's just me and people, coaching them through this 100% one-on-one, what it does is it's not giving, I can be your cheerleader, right? But how do you believe me? Like maybe I'm just saying, things just to make you feel good, right? And not make you feel bad. What do you think was the impact of being part of a community on you, of like-minded people?
Wow. I think, okay, let me think about it. Like, because there's a lot. There's
There's
a
a
lot
lot.
there.
Where do we even begin?
Yeah. So I remember the first time I joined your group, there were other people on the call. They were all super smart people. They were all high achievers. Some of them were early in their journey, and some of them were already, you know, landing offers. But the first time I joined the call, I was so intimidated by everyone because
Mm.
they were amazing professionals. They are, and I was so intimidated. And then I think, a few days later we had our first one-on-one. I was feeling like I can't remember if I shared that with you at some point, probably, but I was like,
Maybe.
I don't even know if I belong in this group. Like everyone is
Oh,
super like
wow.
prepared and professional and smart, and what am I doing here? But I had signed on. I was committed to give it a try, and eventually, those group calls that we had, it was awesome to see people coming online from all over the world, people with a different time zone and a different weather, and we were all talking about the same problem, imposter syndrome. And everyone, I could
Mm.
see people with impressive career paths, and they were sharing the same concerns as me. Like, I don't even know if I should pursue this opportunity. I don't feel ready. And I was like, if that person feels that way, you know, okay, maybe, yeah, maybe I'm not that off in this group. And then I started collaborating with them. Like we had break rooms, and like we were doing homework together and assignments together. So just learning that we were all on the same boat, regardless of our years of experience and titles and companies and backgrounds. It made me realize that we were all looking for the same thing. We wanted to take the next step, and we were all afraid about the same things and learning. Like we all needed to learn. So that created a strong sense of belonging for me,
Mm.
and I could see people moving on. Like they would land an offer and move, and they would stay connected, for the next year, and generate new generations, new cohorts coming. And I was trying to never miss the calls, because next time I would be happy to share something with a newcomer. So that's one thing. The other part is that I I started feeling, when I was seeing that a next cohort came, and then all ended jobs and went, and then the next one, and then the next one, and I was still there. So you were you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that I was one of your longest, you know.
Yeah, it was an entire year, literally.
Yeah, because it was taking longer for me, and at some point, I that also made me self doubt. Like, am I doing something wrong? I'm like, is this the right fit for me? Like, what am I not getting? So, and we had that conversation along the way, and I remember the conclusion, um, from those chats. And to me, the highlight was trust the process. Like
Mm.
you told me, if you're doing, the steps that we set up, and you can measure what you're doing, and you can measure the progress, not in offers, but in work, in connections, in applications, in interviews and stages, everything. Like, then it means you're moving forward. So let's trust the process. And I think that was one of the biggest learnings, for me, because I apply it every day now, and I share it also with others. Like, just trust the process, because it takes time. And
Yeah.
for folks that are working for a career transition in the current market, that's one of the things that I could say: trust the process. As long as you have a good process, just trust it.
Yeah.
The rest is not up to you.
We took a very data-driven approach. And It's good that you reminded me of this because sometimes people measure their success based on whether they got an offer or not. But there are so many steps in between. And sometimes you might be doing the right things, but then because you're not getting an offer, you end up reversing your success because you're making too many changes when you shouldn't be making those changes. So going from first, let's figure out if this is the right role. Let's now, put yourself out there and see if you can get interviews based on this new brand that we built. If you are getting attention, if you're getting more reach outs than before, then you know that the brand is working. Don't try to change now your title into something else. Be focused, just like how you build a product with features. You know, don't burn those features down if you're getting
Yeah.
response from the market validating that these are interesting features. Just because they're not buying, maybe there's something else that you're not doing right, right? Like maybe it's the way you're selling, the way you're converting, clients or leads, right? So this is the same thing.
And
So I
sometimes,
remember, at one point you were actually getting crickets and then finally getting people actually reaching out to you, recruiters and interviews.
yeah, and there are a lot of things that are outside our control. Like, you know, the there are hiring cycles. There are some seasons that are just crickets, and some seasons with high activity. And also, even like you need a lot of things need to align. Like, you just need to be ready when the right opportunity comes for you or to you. Um, you can have a perfect resume and career and interviewing skills, but if the opportunity is not the right one for you, like it will not stick. Or you could force it, right? But I don't know how good that would be. But what I'm
Based
trying
on
to
your
say is that
experience.
you still need to be ready for when an opportunity comes.
Yeah, and that's such an important point too. Sometimes I have people who tell me that I'm going to reach out and I'm going to get help when I start looking, when I need to get a job. And I find that such an interesting thing because I feel like even, especially in this market, you need to plan ahead. You shouldn't just, start when you need a job. You should actually start when you don't need a job because you need to be strategic about what you want.
Yeah, that is true. And also, I have heard from some folks that is super disappointing when they feel like the right opportunity came and they didn't get a chance to land it for whatever reason. So they feel like they lost the best opportunity of their lives. But a few months later, you know, another one as exciting or even better comes in. And that has happened to me a lot. Like, there's no a single opportunity for you. There are multiple, but it takes hard work and doing your part so
Mm.
you're ready when one of those comes. And also, don't burn the feature. Don't collapse just because you didn't get that one that you wanted. Keep the work up. Keep your moral up, even if that's probably the hardest part. But if you got one of those opportunities already so close, that means that another one will come. And it's it's hard to not feel disappointed, but it doesn't matter. Like, you just dust yourself off, stand up, and keep walking because you don't know when your journey is going to end. You just know that you're walking the path and you need to walk it.
There was a pivotal moment for you in the program that I remember. I think even when you and I were trying to figure out your ideal role, you were still unsure. And then finally you owned it, and that was a pivotal moment. I think, part of it was also getting validation from the rest of the community and seeing, people in that product manager role for you to actually feel connected to it. But I think the other pivotal moment was when you came to this workshop that another member of my program called Heath facilitated with me. It was the storytelling workshop to help you with your interviews. And I could see the light bulb moment in terms of not just the way you brand yourself, but also the way that you portray yourself. Tell us a little bit, like, why was that such a, game changer for you going to that workshop?
I'll start by saying that probably public speaking in a non-native language is super hard for me. I'm struggling right now to clearly share my ideas. It's not only about sharing your story or storytelling. It's about understanding what your story is and what are the important parts of your story that you need to share. Because again, coming from a background in when I needed to do anything that it took to get my people and my company going, you just your story is just a mess. It has no structure. You are unable to identify the relevant parts of your story. And when you're moving into the corporate world where roles are structured and scoped and there is a language for every role, you have to untangle a lot just to explain yourself and to tell a story. I don't know if there was a particular thing in that workshop, but I remember coming out of it like actually understanding my story. Like, oh, okay, so now I see it. Now, like looking, if I was looking at my book, I was now able to organize it in chapters and sections and be able to take out the ones that I needed for what I wanted to do next. Because there's a lot in your book, like a lot. We all have a lot of history there, but not everything will be relevant to the audience that you are going to talk to. So I think that was a decisive moment because now I understood what I wanted to write about in a new book. Right, and figuratively speaking.
I love that analogy. A lot of people that I work with have nonlinear careers. They've moved around, they moved up, they move out. They've had difficulties, they've had challenges. And now, like, how do you take all of that, which you called quote unquote a mess, and distill it into a nice narrative that almost goes into a book that would be engaging for someone to actually want to pick up and read and be interested in because it's relevant to them and they can connect with.
I shared my story, but many of the people that I met along this journey, working with you, everyone from the cohort, have been people that it does what it takes to earn that goal that they are looking for. So hard workers, right? Not like patient, uh, and they dream big. Like they, even if they are scared, because we all are, and I noticed we all were during our journeys. Even if you're scared, like you jump into the cold water and you go for it. So I think those are the fundamental characteristics that I would look for in people joining the program. Um, what value gets they can get out of it? Like I shared from my experience. I already mentioned that. Like getting not only to someone to keep you accountable, but that will help you untangle your story and your journey so you can focus on the things that matter the most. A lot of times with at least it happened to me, like, I'll give it a try and see how far I can get. And I did it, and I enjoyed it, and I learned. And then, but I understood when I needed help, and that's something. Maybe that's another characteristic of people in this program. Like, we all need to recognize when we need help.
Yeah.
From you and from other community members, because we are not afraid to ask, and we are not afraid to open. So you get a coach that will help you be more efficient and to build a system that works for you, and you get a community that will help you when you're feeling down, when you're self-doubting, and that will let you help them, because that's another thing, and you will realize that you know more than what you're aware of.
That's incredible. What do you think is my superpower?
You have many, but the one that I want to highlight is that you care about your community. Like,
I do.
my God, you don't ever let go until you don't let go.
I'm relentless.
That's the word. You're relentless. I've seen it. Like, you needed rest, you needed a break, but you kept going because that person
Yeah.
was so close and they needed you. And I think that's your biggest superpower as a coach. Like, you genuinely care, and we feel it, and we follow you because of that. We trust you because we've seen how committed you are to our success.
Yeah. I do consider everyone who joins my program like family. For me to be able to open up the way I do, at the end of the day, this is a business for me and my career. I need to enjoy it. If I don't, then it's just not going to work. So for me to be able to care, I got to like the person. They have to have those characteristics that you were talking about. But I think it's what you said to me, like, if we were to end this episode on this theme, which kind of like was surprising for me to hear. Well, maybe not surprising, because I know that you and I share values, and that has always been my intention in the program. But for you to actually highlight out of everything, not the fact that I'm a great coach, I'm certified, I'm a great storyteller, I'm great at, helping people articulate their value, figure out their sweet spot. What you really highlighted is that, you felt like you belonged, like you came in not sure that you belonged, and then you felt that way. And that has always been my aim in my program, to ensure that everyone that I work with belongs. Because truly, like, this was something that I battled with throughout coming to Canada, throughout my career in organizations, through even joining coaching programs, where I was literally kicked out of programs because I was told you are a slow learner, or you don't meet these check boxes. It's not that I'm saying that I'm able to work with everyone, but at the same time, once we find that alignment and we choose each other, client and coach, I'm all in, right? You can't, once you make that commitment, you can't just like back out now and make the person feel like, oh, they bothered you by asking a question. Oh, like, oh, this person is not getting it right away. I'm frustrated. Oh, just go watch that video. I'm not going to explain anything to you, right? That's not how I want people to feel. I want them to feel like they have someone by their sides through the ups and downs. So I'm glad that you shared that, because that's one of my biggest values.
You know what? Like, that's important because I believe it, we mostly, when we are going through such a pivot or transition, we are feeling scared.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's a scary process. So just finding someone that truly cares about your success and well-being is just what we need. So
yeah, more than anything, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can figure out all the other stuff, but sometimes just when you're spiraling or you're giving up on yourself, just having someone who actually is an expert, who has all the data, to just calm you down and just tell you, listen, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Sometimes that's all you need to hear to keep going. I think this is really good, Rashid. Maybe I'll just thank you for being here. As usual, amazing transformation. We didn't have time to go through all of the details of your journey and what you've been through, but I hope that when you look back, you're proud of your success, going from being an entrepreneur, already successful, to pivoting to a new country when, a lot of people would doubt if that's possible, going from Mexico to Canada, navigating visa hurdles, navigating, language change, breaking into a big tech company, and then dealing with the turbulence in the market and moving to multiple companies to your dream company. That's incredible, man. You made all of that happen.
Yeah, as I said, like you need to be ready for when those opportunities come to you, so you are able to take them. And I'm grateful for that. My journey is not over. I'm still figuring out a lot of things, but I'm happy to share whatever part I can to help people not make the same mistakes